Now, you may have heard recently that on Australia Day, and obviously, the controversy around Australia Day aside, Japan held EVO Japan. So it took the EVO concept from Vegas, ran it in Japan, with interesting results. Obviously, it's a very different country to America. But two of the CouchWarriors guys went to the event, and I've got them here today to discuss it. Thank you, Darren, and thank you, James, for coming in. How'd you was it your first trip to Japan in the first place? I guess is the better question.
Yeah, it was my first time. I think you've been before.
It wasn't my first time, but the last time I went to Japan was about 11 years ago.
Right.
So
Okay.
don't
so
remember much about it. Yeah.
Right.
So a bit of a young'un.
So, did you feel it as soon as you got out of the airport? Like you were there. You were not only there for I'm going to go to Japan, but I'm in Japan for EVO. Like, was there a tinge of that to it, or?
More, it was definitely a focus because when I got to Japan, it was the weekend. It was right before the weekend of EVO. So I said, okay, let's find an arcade. Let's practice. Let's focus for a bit. After the tournament, then let's enjoy Japan as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I had basically the same mindset. Our first 9 days was spent in Akihabara. So
Right.
day one, we were hitting up the arcades and just getting a taste of the local scene and heading to Esports Square, which is the spot in Akihabara. They had Street Fighter V casuals set up there nearly every night leading up to EVO, and yeah, it was really awesome.
So I guess that is the big question. First time running, split between the two venues. It was Ikebukuro for pools, and then it was Akiba for finals. How did you find it? Like, how did the tournament feel as a general kind of tournament itself?
Because it was a free tournament, there were a lot of entrants.
Yeah.
Both present and of course people
Absentees,
that just signed up for the hell of it and just chose not to either not rock up or just I'm in the other side of the country. I was never going to rock up anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And I think that with the way the Japanese people have to tiptoe around the rules of hosting a tournament, it was a lot more crowded than I think they were expecting, and it was very stuffy, very, very warm in there, as heaps of people crowded around setups, just waiting for their match, and it's just there was a lot of people, and it was very grueling.
Yourself?
Yeah, we definitely felt that. I'm not sure about the anime and Tekken side of stuff, but for example, Street Fighter pools were 8-player pools, one setup per pool. And they were running maybe 10 pools at a time.
Wow. Okay.
So
it was both like that. Yeah.
2 hours per pool kind of thing. So it was yeah.
So
well, like you say, being a free tournament as well, there's that people just sign up and it doesn't matter. I guess the bigger question of being, obviously we run lots of majors and minors in Australia. How was it different? How did you find the Japanese experience different to showing up to a BAM or showing up to a Rambat and OHN, that kind of thing?
It's a bit more orderly in the fact that every time you played or finished a match, before they put in the results, they came up to you, showed you what happened, then they say, "Is that okay?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, that's correct. I just got destroyed," or I just destroyed him. And it's very weird. And also the orderly goes the other way around, where if there are difficulties of people not showing up, they don't really. There's no consideration. It's you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
Also with failures or of equipment, there were a few problems around equipment failing and all that stuff, and there's no leniency whatsoever. Yeah, so there a few players did cop a little bit of that. A bit of that due to either PS4's drawing too much power or things just malfunctioning on the day. It's just nah. It's just the nature of the competition in Japan. It's just you're done.
Wow, brutal. Yeah. I mean, how did you find, I guess, from a competition point of view, was it surprising how many killers you had in brackets? Because, I mean, that is the thing with the Japan scene. There's a lot of people who don't travel, who don't have that kind of presence that we expect out of a Daigo and Momo and stuff like that. And they would have just been sitting there waiting for you in pools. How'd that go?
Yeah, that was definitely the case. When I first pools came out maybe 3 weeks before the tournament, and I had a look and I'm I don't recognize any of these names. There's a few that were just Japanese character names and stuff, and I wasn't until I got there on the day and I started asking around with players who sort of could speak some English. I'm do you know anyone? And they're like, oh, this guy Master Rank Bison, this guy Master Rank Ryu, and yeah, you find out that there's actually killers everywhere, and it was a very stacked tournament. Yeah.
So what's your takeaway? Will you go back again next year if it happens? What would you like to see change for next year?
It's a hard question to ask because there are a lot of things that can be improved, but it's just about whether they can improve it with the infrastructure they have or with the model they put in place.
And the rules as well.
The fact that it's a free tournament is just rife with, like, you're introducing so many factors that can go wrong with that. I think they did the finals day really well, albeit like it was a little bit smaller scale, but what can you do? I feel that if there is a way to improve upon that, that would make it amazing. As far as what they have going for them is just the competition. The competition is just so fierce. Is that most of my day when I was like when I eventually got knocked out was just tracking all the Australians, my fellow brethren, and watching how they do, because that is like the most exciting way. It's just watching someone play and be like, all right, he needs to win this to get into top 64. All the Aussies are crowded around him and just like watching. It's fantastic to be in there, and also fantastic to like meet the obstacles along the way, because you know that every time you're playing someone, he's probably going to be like a good player.
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, the same. Like, I went 1 and 2, so my day was over pretty quickly for Street Fighter.
Wait, 1? That's all right.
Yeah. Happy to get a win, but yeah, the rest of the day was pretty much watching some of the other boys from Sydney, and ROF from Melbourne was there, and a few of the other guys. So yeah, pretty much just watched their track into the higher levels. But yeah, no, just being there to support the guys was, yeah.
Well, so that's EVO wrapped up. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget BAM very soon as well, 18th to 20th of May in Melbourne. Guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.